AJ.
I'm Satin.
And welcome to Rooted in Real, where genuine conversation meets grounded perspective. We made it through, y'all.
We made it through, y'all.
A lot of bloopers on this reel. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for joining us again. This is episode 18 of the Rooted in Real podcast with AJ and Satin. Welcome. Welcome back. This one is about generational curses.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to give y'all the technically non-spiritual generational curses. Then we'll give you a biblical perspective of generational curses.
Right, correct.
Correct.
Why am I designated as the one?
Iron, wood. I'm still,
I'm going to tell y'all, don't listen to her when she started talking about that, because I feel like she's putting a weight on me that I am not ready to carry.
She need to be ready to carry. Maybe the Lord will let up off of her. Okay.
That's a wild statement to make.
A generational curse.
That's crazy.
Refers to negative, reoccurring behavioral patterns,
Right.
trauma, or hardships that are passed down from ancestors or parents to their descendants.
Right.
So a lot of times people think, that's just the way our families are.
Right.
But tends to be a generational curse,
Right.
or a pattern that you are exhibiting because that's just what y'all do in your family.
Yes.
Now, it might not be good for you, but people use that excuse, that's just how I am. That's just how the whole family is.
That's just how
But
I am. Correct.
It's not what you should be doing. But anyway,
Right.
generational curses, examples, you got substance abuse. That's a big one
that's a
in a
big
lot
one.
of families. And it's
Yeah.
not just, drugs, it's alcohol,
Right.
addictive behaviors,
Yes.
gambling, that sort of
Yes.
thing that can get you in some trouble.
Yeah, I recognized early on that there was a addictive generational curse that was present or prevalent in my own family, and not addictive in the sense of drugs, but alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just speaking for my immediate family.
Right.
Although it is a little bit in the extended family, but I definitely noticed it early on, which is why I never drank alcohol, because I was aware of that, and my thought process was,
Let's not do that.
let's not do that.
And that is one thing about generational curses, is the way that you break them is being self-aware enough to know
Right.
that, hey, my family is prone to this thing.
Yes.
And I don't want to be in this thing because I've
Right.
seen what it does to other people.
Right.
So let me change it.
Right.
Let me work hard. Because even though you might be apt or you feel prone to do something that
Right.
that you shouldn't be doing,
Correct.
just because it's in your family and your bloodline doesn't mean you have to fall victim to it.
Doesn't mean you have to fall victim to it.
You can
That's right.
always change it.
You can always change it. Yes.
Another one is abuse and neglect. So that goes along the lines of physical, verbal, emotional abuse, and it's often in your family, and you pass it down to your children.
Right.
So like you got beat as a kid repeatedly. So now,
Yes.
and the favorite line is, "I got beat and I turned out fine."
That's right.
So they beat their kids,
Right.
Beyond recognition, because that's what happened to
Yeah.
them, and they fell in line and quit doing whatever the behavior was.
Right,
They feel
domestic
like
violence.
there was a change.
Yeah.
So they feel like that's okay to do, and like I said before, beating your kid's head between the washer and the dryer because that's what your mama did to you.
Between the washer and the dryer.
Between the washer and the dryer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying, it
Yeah.
happens to people on a
It's-
regular basis, especially our generation. Like, I'm
Yes.
sorry,
Oh, yeah.
your generation and my generation, because we're in two different ones. But anyway, so that was a thing back then
Yes.
for a lot of people,
It
and
was.
a lot of people,
Corporal punishment.
corporal punishment. A lot of people have tried to change that sort of thing because
Yeah.
they realize that is dysfunctional,
Right.
and beating your kids to a pulp is not how you get your kid to keep talking to you, because they
Right.
realize, I don't even want to talk to my mama no more.
Right. But I will say this. Chastisement, corporal punishment may be necessary, but it has to be done in the right context, not anger, and it has to be done.
Because didn't you just tell me that your youngest kid ain't never had a whooping?
Yes. Because she hasn't done, that's what I mean when I say in the right context. She hasn't done anything that I felt warranted her to have corporal punishment or
Yeah.
chastisement. I mean, me and my brother have this discussion all the time. And I think it's a very thin line between corporal punishment and abuse.
Right.
And so I think it has to be, and that's why I say there can't be the negative emotion or the angry emotion associated with it.
You gonna hurt them.
Right, because you're gonna hurt them. I think
Yeah.
that's where you cross into abuse. And when I say corporal punishment, I'm not necessarily mean continually hitting your kids. I mean, like if they do something and you pop them, like if they touch a hot stove,
Yeah.
you pop them. Like to me, that's still corporal punishment because
And see,
it's
to others,
right.
that ain't corporal.
No,
is
that
just
ain't corporal.
That's
Corporal punishment is
that's
the serious.
baseline.
Yeah, that's baseline. It's like the introduction.
That's the washer the dryer situation.
Yeah.
That's the corporal means like,
Right.
oh, you really, really hurting them while
Right.
you do it. But
But see, even like going back to generational curses, I think you have to be. It's important that the reason why I have swayed from that is because for me, the generational curse of abuse or the generational curse of I don't want to say domestic violence, but corporal punishment. I didn't want to reiterate that because again, if it's a generational curse, then if you step into the water you're going to keep going into it. Like, if you put your toe in the water, you're going to keep on going.
Same thing with addiction.
Like opening the door.
Yeah.
Like, when you get to the spiritual side of it, when you open up to the door, it's already inside, then it's hard to get it back out once it's in. So that's kind of approach I went with, even with corporal punishment, is that just don't do it as much as you can afford not to do it. Now, I will say this, of course, because I was young and that was before I met Christ. My oldest one, she did get subjected to a lot of corporal punishment. And again, that didn't have anything to do with her behavior. It had everything to do with me not being in a position to be able to control my own emotions. So therefore I got irritated and frustrated with when she would do stuff. A lot easier when she did stuff. And so
and you also weren't in a safe space.
Yeah, I wasn't in a safe space.
When she was little. Like you were in survival mode at all times.
All times.
Which then caused you to treat her differently. And not the way that you would have wanted to parent her. And you've since corrected.
Yeah, I have since corrected that.
But and you've had discussions and she understands.
She does understand. And she's
a great kid.
She's a fantastic kid. She really is.
She did good.
I know it.
I know it.
Yes. It took a long time for that. I know it, girl.
You're right. That's good.
Right. But yes, abuse or corporal punishment is one of those generational curses that we have to look at too from a natural perspective.
Yeah. Then we got poverty and financial destitution.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, so you passing down your poor financial habits to your children, or even like, I mean, I said this before we started, but like living in, like you lived in the projects,
right?
But then like now, your kid still lives in the projects, your grandkids stay in the projects, and nobody has any
idea how to get out.
No idea how to get out, or not attempting to get out.
Right.
Now there are plenty of people who live in the projects, and then they said, you know what, I'm not doing this. I don't want my kids to be like this. And they figured out how to get out and taught their children how not to get into such.
Right. And I want to preface this by saying that living in the housing projects, which I grew up in, is not necessarily a sign of poverty, because now they just,
true.
They call them housing. I think they just call them apartments now. I don't think they call them the projects anymore. We still do, because that was the generation that we grew up in. But I believe that we just have to say that there's nothing wrong with living there.
No,
wrong
definitely not.
with even generations living there and growing up, because for me it gave a sense of community. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Right. It gave me a huge sense of community, and all of the people that I grew up with there, we all had similar situations, even though some of us may have been doing better financially. So it is a good stepping stone, and it is a good place to live, in certain areas. I can only speak from where we are here in Georgia and in the Northwest Georgia area. I can't speak for other parts of Georgia. But what I will say is that the sense of poverty comes from the mindset of being there, not necessarily the location.
Not the location.
So the mindset of, not keeping your house up, not keeping yourself up, not maintaining any skills. And I will say that I know now, I don't know that it was much prevalent when I was growing up in the housing project, but I know now that there are programs that aid and assist you in how to be financially responsible. There are aids, there are aids and there are programs that allow you to know how to maintain and clean your home and do all these things. And I know that seems natural, but everybody didn't grow up that way. It's not. When you're in survival mode, who cares about whether the house is clean?
Right. I'm trying to make sure you got a roof over your head and food in your belly. So somebody gonna wash them dishes at some point.
That's right.
But I don't care when it gets done.
That's right. And then poverty is a lot of times associated with, cleanliness or uncleanliness. And
it
so,
is. Yes, even though, some people that live in certain places, like they still keep their places neat as a pin.
Well, like when I was growing up, there was not one person's house that I went into, and I went to everybody's house when I lived in the project. We were in everybody's houses, all of us, all the time. There was not one house I remember going into, even from the time I was young, that was filthy, that was dirty. Right. Even my god brothers, I'll say, they had multiple kids in their house, and there was never a time where I felt like their house was dirty. Was there a lot of people? Was there a lot of things in the house? Yes, but I don't ever felt like there was a time when I went into our home and it was dirty.
And I mean, crawling around.
I'm talking about walking in people's house, going in their refrigerator.
All in their business.
And nobody ever thought anything about it.
Yeah, because of the community.
Yeah, because of the sense of community. So it's, again, nothing wrong with living in the project. It's the mindset of poverty in whatever space you live in. You can live in $1 million house and still have a mindset of poverty.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's rough.
Now that is a generational curse. The mindset of poverty. And I say that from the generation where I can't say we were poor, but I can't say that we had, but I can say that we never went without.
Okay.
And in that mindset of never going without, I also adapted this hoarder mentality, is what I call it, of keeping everything because everything can be used.
Side note, it's my turn. She always doing the side notes. When we started this podcast, I didn't realize that she was a little bit of a hoarder, just a touch. I didn't realize it, right? But when we got ready to take the stuff out of the boxes, I was like, okay, so we can break them down and put them in the recycle bin here at my house. And she just looked at me like,
No,
we have to keep them.
right.
Why do I have to keep the box?
They were good, sturdy boxes, guys, that can be reused. And if you think about it from an environmental perspective, you could have used those boxes in your gardening because cardboard breaks down. I'm just saying.
I'm just going to say they had a gloss on them, so I couldn't use them for that.
That's right. You couldn't use them
Couldn't
for that.
use them for that. They couldn't go back into
That's
the
right.
environment, or I would have used them.
That's right.
I would have kept them.
Right. But see, I was thinking, again, the hoarder mentality. I was thinking, okay, first of all, I said, let's keep, she did agree to keep them for like, I think 30, 60 days before we
just in case we wanted to quit this and send them back.
Right. But also of mind, like if we have something and we resell it later, that to have the box.
The original box.
The original box. But that's the reasoning for that. But there are so many other things in my life that doesn't have a reasoning for me being able to hoard and keep those things. And
this wasn't even a good reason.
It wasn't even a good reason. I'm an organized hoarder, which is even more terrible because then you have space.
You know you have skills to
hide the things that you don't need to keep. That's in the spirit too. Some people got skills in the spirit where they can hide things
just
that
not
nobody
from the
else
Lord.
can see. No, except from the Lord. Yeah, you can't hide nothing from him.
You can hide all the things you want, can't hide from God.
Yes, but that is a generational thing because the poverty mindset or the generational mindset of poverty is that I can keep everything because I can use everything, or everything needs to be kept. Like even with clothes, it took me a long time to start purchasing new clothes as opposed to secondhand.
Because you were used to getting...
Because I was used to getting secondhand. I was used to getting the hand-me-downs from my brothers because I had 2 older brothers that lived in a home with me, and I always got their hand-me-downs. And so because those were the clothes that were, brought down to me. And also, when I was growing up, our church that we went to had a clothing bank, and we would get clothes from there.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's where all of my stuff came secondhand. So when I got older, buying new stuff felt like a crime. It didn't feel like, okay, well, these pair of jeans are going to last me for 6 years, so I need to get them.
Like, no, they cost too much money.
Right. My thought was, these jeans have already lasted 6 decades. Let me get those.
Not 6.
I mean, I'm just saying, they weren't new. You know what I mean? They
Right.
wasn't like somebody wore them twice and gave them away. These been passed down. But they don't make clothes like that anymore. Anyway.
They don't.
But
because I can't pass down nothing from my oldest and my youngest anymore.
No.
He is too rough on them, and them clothes don't last at all.
They don't last at all. But that mindset of everything can be used and not getting rid of anything because it can be. And I noticed that like with my mother-in-law, she keeps a lot of things. And of course, she's 91.
Wow.
If we go off her birth certificate, not off of what we really know her record is, which is like, it's still just like 80, 89 or 80 something like that. So it's just a couple years off.
She's like, I am not 90.
Yeah, she said, I'm not 91. But she has that same mindset, but she's also organized and clean. Like when I went to her house one time and we were cleaning out the closet. Well, we weren't cleaning out. Let me rephrase that. We were going through the closet because there were things in there that she wanted to give me. And she wanted me to go through them to see what I wanted and what, she wanted to keep.
Yeah.
And when we were going through that closet, the closet didn't look like it was that big.
Right.
But there were so many clothes that every time I pulled out something, I was like, how did this fit? And she's like, I packed it in there. I organized it. But that comes from her mindset. And I don't want to say a poverty mindset, but it comes from a lack. Like she knew that she had a lack of clothing growing up, and now she has the ability to be able to have those things. And it's not like I'm getting them and I'm going to pass them down to people.
Right.
But I'm getting them because I'm able to have them. And so, same thing with like toiletries, medicines,
keeping it
all of it. The
Keep
the bottles that pills come in, take the label off, they can be reused. Why go to the store and buy travel size lotion containers where you can put the lotion inside of an old pill bottle? It's sealed, nothing leaks. As long as it's not liquid.
Next.
I'm just saying, the mindset of poverty is a generational curse. It can go on. I can go on about it. On and on. Yes, go.
Another one, anxiety, fear, and depression.
That is real.
Mental health struggles going from generation to generation to generation.
Yes.
Is a real thing.
Yes.
A real thing. And people tend to feel like this generation right now, they're so sensitive. Yeah. They're so overly dramatic. Everybody got depression.
Yeah.
No. Think about like your mama was depressed.
That's right.
But she just didn't talk about it because she had to move on. She had to take care of y'all. She had to do all the things. She didn't have time to think about the fact that she was depressed.
Right. I agree.
But she still passed that kind of stuff down to you.
Right.
Because
you don't know how to maintain it.
And you don't know how to deal. You don't know how to deal.
Life, yeah.
So I just feel like the whole thing about like everybody being sensitive, people are just naming things now. People are giving it a name. Now, are some people taking it too far and over, oh, I'm depressed because I was sad today?
Right.
That's different. But actual depression and mental illnesses and things do run in families.
They do. They do.
Heavily.
Right. I will attest to the anxiety because I recall growing up and noticing it in my grandmother and my mother. Of course, this is hindsight. And when I say notice it, I notice, and we're going to call it a spirit. I noticed the spirit of anxiety and anxiousness prevalent in my grandmother and my mother. And my mom would always say, and this is how you got to be careful about speaking curses over your life, is y'all get on my nerves. My nerves are shot.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Life and death in the power of the tongue.
Life and death are in the power of the tongue. And what I also remember when you look at it in the spiritual, in the natural sense, is that my mom had neuropathy. She had issues with her nerves. And that was later on that she got diagnosed. But there have been years, I can say my entire childhood, where she said those phrases about getting on her nerves and her nerves being,
shot.
Shot and, all of those things.
I wrecked my nerves. You getting on my last, and you dancing on my last nerves.
That's right. And then also relating the anxiety and the self-medicating of alcohol. Self-medicating of alcohol to depression and anxiety and all of the mental health struggles. Then you got somebody like me who don't drink and don't do drugs and don't use those things to self-medicate. And then when I noticed I wasn't able to control anxiety at some point in my life when I was no longer in survival mode.
Everything started coming
into focus, depression and anxiety, and I'm like,
now I'm safe, and why am I sad?
Right, like why am I sad?
Anxious?
Why am I anxious? Where's this coming from? Why can't I manage it like all the ways that I did before? And then something else that changes, my outlet was running. I love to exercise. I love to run. I would go to, the stadium here. I think the high school uses it now, but I would go to the stadium here and run up and down the stairs. No longer in survival mode, and these things coming up, and I'm trying to figure out how to deal with these. And like I said, I used to use my outlet was exercising. And when I got sick and I could no longer run, could no longer exercise, then the anxiety became heavier, the depression became heavier, the instances of, I say breakdown in mental health became more, I became more noticeable.
Right.
Because I think they were always present. So because there was no outlet for me, it felt like, I don't want to say nervous breakdown, but that's what it felt like.
Yeah,
like I was on the verge.
What you were doing.
Like I didn't know what I was doing. Like, how do you manage this? How do you do this? Because again, self-medication was prevalent.
Yeah.
And that's what they done. So it's like,
and that's all you knew.
That's all you knew. But I noticed that early on with my grandmother and my mother. And I also noticed early on that nobody dealt with it in a proper way. Like my grandmother was an alcoholic. Then she just put it down and she came to Christ.
Yeah.
My mom, however, didn't ascribe to religion in any way.
Right.
And so she still...
So she did what she did.
She still did what she did. But I will say this. There are multiple generational curses that I noticed on both my maternal and paternal side. However, I have always said this, is that I believe that the reason why alcohol and drugs, or alcohol specifically, was not an issue for me is because my dad already broke that generational curse. Alcoholism runs on his side of the family as well, but he wasn't a drinker.
Okay.
And I feel like because he took a stand, even if I noticed it early on and I abstained from doing it because I didn't have a desire to do so, I feel like he already started closing the door on that particular generational curse. Yeah. And then also with anxiety, my dad is he's a very strong person. He's strong mentally. Yeah. And so I feel like all of those things easier for me to be able to overcome the anxiety and the depression. Even though when they came, I didn't have an understanding on how to deal with them. I had people around me that did. And then also medication. I'm not against medication.
Not against it.
Not against it at all. If you need it, use it. Don't become dependent on it if you can. Because again, the addiction generational curse. Yeah. I was always, in the back of my mind.
I mean, people be popping Xanaxes for fun.
Right.
And there's people who actually need it.
Right. And I was on a medication. I wasn't on that. I wasn't on anything serious, but I was still on something for a time. Yeah. Because when all the influx of emotion came, I was like, and all this happened right after the pandemic, which makes sense.
Yeah. That was an anxiety-inducing
it was
time of life.
Body was like, let's go down. Mind was like, let's join in. Let's join in, guys.
We're all just going to be down.
We're just all going to be down. I have one mental breakdown and we're good.
Okay, let's talk about the biblical stuff.
Okay, biblical side. Okay, so I'm going to read off some things to you guys because we know my recall ability is not great.
Is low.
In the Bible, generational curses refer to the transmission of the consequences of sin or destructive behavioral patterns across family lines. While scripture acknowledges the reality of family patterns and the consequences of sin, it emphasizes individual accountability and the ultimate breaking of these cycles, which is what you mentioned earlier about just because there is a generational curse doesn't mean we need to fall in line with the generational curse.
You're supposed to, you got to fight them things.
You have to fight them things. And I think what we have to understand about the biblical aspect of generational curses is that there are generational curses that can be spoken. That was the law in the Old Testament. But when Jesus came and he died for our sin, there was a clarity where we became individualized, where it became our responsibility to make sure that we deal with whatever the generational curse is. We don't have to follow the patterns. We can go against the grain. All of those. Yes. So the Old Testament talks about consequences versus guilt.
Ooh.
Okay. So the concept of sin passing through generations is detailed in the writings of Moses. You see this all the time, all of the warnings. Well, if you've read, or you have any understanding of Moses and his writings, he gave warnings like in Exodus 20:5 and then Exodus 34:7, where he visits iniquity, consequences of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generations. Right, of those who hate him. Can you imagine?
Child, I ain't even did nothing. I can't imagine. I ain't did, like my kids sitting over here eating their fruit, like they curse. Because my great grandmama couldn't act right.
Because she couldn't act right. She had acted a fool when she
doing whatever she wanted. God was like, dishonor. Have you ever seen Mulan?
Yeah.
Dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow. Like everybody getting some.
Everybody gets some. But you know, that also goes back to what God said when he would tell people, like, if there was a commandment to go and storm the land, kill everything there.
Yeah.
Don't leave everything, leave nothing alive. The baby ain't done nothing.
I ain't done a thing.
But his great grandfather was acting a fool.
Everybody got to go.
And then caused the war. Everybody got to die. Everybody got, not that they got to go, they got to die. You got to murder that thing.
Be specific.
Okay, yeah, be specific. It's my fault. You got to teach murder. You got to teach what that word means. We're talking about biblical death.
Yes.
Biblical death.
But it's real.
It is real. It is real. In the Old Testament. In the New Testament. Don't
fire and brimstone. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, fire and brimstone. You tell what kind of church I grew up in. Actually, I grew up in a Baptist church.
See, mine was Baptist, but not for real, though. I feel like every time I talk to somebody about a Baptist church, like, that don't describe mine.
My husband grew up in a Pentecostal church, and I grew up in a Baptist church, and we go to non-denominational.
Yeah. I think ours was a mixture of different things.
Right.
We just followed the Lord. But continue.
Anyway, the distinction. Biblical scholars note that this passage describes the natural compounding consequences of a parent's sin affecting a household, like poverty, abuse, and trauma, the things that we already discussed,
we talked about,
rather than God actively punishing descendants for crimes that they didn't commit. And that's the New Testament.
Yeah.
Old Testament, you did something, you and everybody.
Yeah.
New Testament, you did something, even if your action was the response of a generational curse, you got to be held responsible for
You are held responsible for your own actions.
Right. The individual accountability, which is discussed by Jeremiah and Ezekiel, the prophets. And so, of course, Ezekiel 18:20, this is where we're talking about the individual accountability. It states plainly, the one who sins is the one who will die. The child will not share the guilt of the parent, nor will the parent share the guilt of the child. That's also in Jeremiah 31:29, where it says 29 and 30. Jeremiah declares that the old proverb about children suffering for their parents, sour grapes, will no longer apply. Individual accountability. So even if there's a generational curse that does lie in your family, poverty, abuse.
Yeah. Addiction,
anxiety, depression. Even if those things exist, you have been absolved of that through the death of Jesus Christ for the remission of your sins. And so now you're the one that's held accountable to it.
Therefore, there is now no condemnation.
There is now, therefore, no condemnation in he who believes and follow after Christ.
Yeah.
So, what do God say?
Oh my gosh.
I gotta get it. Okay.
I can't with you.
I know.
Okay.
I know you can't.
Last thing.
Okay. So it talks about breaking the cycle. In Christian theology, the overarching message points to freedom from the curse of law. Break the cycle. Ain't that what Tasha Cobb says? Break every chain.
Oh yeah. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. Break every chain. There's spiritual freedom and new beginnings that occur because Jesus came
And it is very freeing.
It is very
It is
freeing.
it is hard in the moment, but it's very freeing once you get on the other side of something like that.
It is. It is. We're no longer held and bound by the law. We have been freed from that. So therefore, we
In
don't
the
have
spirit.
in the spirit. Don't open up the door. Now that's the other thing.
Don't go back.
Don't go back.
Don't be dibbling and dabbling. Don't be doing none
I
of
won't
that.
go back. I can't go back to the way they used to be. Don't go back, y'all. Don't go back. Break the generational curse. Break the cycle. Don't go back.
Don't go back.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Look at
It's good.
Good.
That's good.
All right. She picked this topic, y'all. You know that.
Yeah.
I know she did.
I did. It's very close to my heart because of the generational curses. That was something very big. It's important that you speak the right things over your life. And it's also important that what you speak also follows those actions. And it doesn't mean that you don't need to go to therapy. It doesn't mean that you don't need medication. It doesn't mean that you don't need support. What it does mean is that you have the power within you and you have the ability. I'm going to say that you have the ability
Yeah.
to be able to break free from a generational curse. So just because you were once bound doesn't mean you have to stay bound.
Right. And use your resources.
Use your resources.
It doesn't have to, I told my mama and them, I told them, hey, I got Jesus and therapy.
Right. Jesus
got
and
both.
therapy. I got both.
Ain't
it's
nothing wrong with
necessary.
that. Yeah, it's very necessary for me
And
to
it,
have
and
both.
it is hard. And I think that we have to be careful not to judge and not to put so much weight on people that have not been able to.
Mm-hmm.
Like I recall being younger and not having this forethought, blaming my mom and blaming my dad for not being present, not being active, and not being able to fight against it. I recall my grandmother told me about the way to view my mom and my dad is that God gave them the ability and the gift to bring you in the world. That's all their job
That's all
was
they
for
got.
you, was to bring you in the world. God knew enough to not let them have a hand in your life or not have a heavy hand in your life because of
it would have changed you.
Right,
It
the
would've
negative
changed you.
impact that they would have had on my life because they had yet not been saved. They had yet not came into Christ and they didn't have the ability to fight against
To fight the curses.
the generational curses. And so that mindset carried me with for a very long time, even though I still had my heart blamed them. My heart was hurt. You know, the outside of it.
Unforgiveness is one of these things too.
Yes, it
Anger and
is.
unforgiveness.
Anger and
a generational
unforgiveness
curse.
is an extreme generational curse.
Yeah.
Again, we talked about that before, how I always talk about friend, a foe being friend. That's that mindset. Everybody enemy. Because
Until you show me otherwise.
right, because of what was modeled in my household.
Yeah.
Or what was
get
modeled
that.
in my family. So if you can, find resources.
Use your resources.
Use your resources. Biblical, natural,
both.
medicinal. Proper.
Medicinal,
proper.
not recreational.
Yeah, not recreational. You have to clarify that because
Please,
somebody
we
was
just talked about addiction.
look on that podcast. Get this medicinal, and I'm getting this medicinal. Don't do that. Don't put that on me.
Don't put that on
I ain't got
us.
nothing to do with that.
We ain't liable.
We ain't liable. This is a good episode.
This was a good episode.
Yes,
All right, we're gonna wrap it
generational
up.
curses.
Generational curses. Learn how to break them. Learn how to recognize when
Yes.
your family already has one
Yes.
and what you should do about it.
Yes. Thank you guys for joining us today. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Bye.